Welcome back, my Lightworker friend. It is always such a pleasure to spend time with you. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the Ascended Masters. Now, you may be asking who they are, where are they, what is their purpose or function, how do they help us, and can you link with them? If so, then how? Well, I'm going to delve into all those questions, and by the end of this conversation, you will be able to access their light in pursuit of furthering your own spiritual evolution on your personal path to the fifth dimension and beyond. So if you're ready, let's go. So who are the Ascended Masters? Well, they are a group of highly evolved light beings working for God who come to Earth to serve humanity. In times of Earth's history, when humankind has gone through times of stunted or intellectual and spiritual growth, times we would rather refer to as the Dark Ages, these incorruptible beings, being of exceptionally pure light and love, have been sent to the earth to lead humanity through that dark age towards enlightenment, through a path of spiritual growth. They have served humanity and left incredible scientific, medical, mathematics, physics, art, engineering, astrophysics, and spiritual knowledge for their legacy. Now, I touched on the Ascended Masters briefly in our first episode, Spiritual Transformation, where their sole purpose is to serve humanity and infuse the world with high-frequency light energy. This light energy's purpose is to elevate the vibration frequency on Earth to a higher frequency, the frequency of divine love. They exist in the seventh dimension and beyond. The seventh dimension is the realm or dimension of celestial beings, and we generally refer to it as seventh heaven. Their work is guided by the unbreakable universal laws. Now, we will discuss the universal laws in the second half of this year. They are light beings who incarnate, knowing and remembering their purpose very clearly, and the reasons why they have incarnated into humanity at a specific time. Unfortunately, it is society that has not understood them or their purpose. So they have generally been treated with suspicion and fear and have usually suffered extremely violent deaths. They are messengers of God and work tirelessly to fulfill God's plan of furthering humanity's spiritual evolution through love and forgiveness. Ascended Masters are sometimes referred to as the illumined ones, and they are referred to as the elect, which is a term that has been used over 2,500 times in the Bible. In 1977, in his book entitled The Keys of Enoch, J.J. Hertak describes the Ascended Masters as such. Masters who have served several incarnations in the lower heavens, teaching the cosmic law of the universe, and who have ascended back into the presence of the Father, from whence they received new assignments to teach a wide variety of worlds because of their greater love. Celestial beings of light exist in the seventh and above dimensions, and they are androgynous. So there is no gender in the light or in the energetic realm. As Earth is a planet of duality and individuality, we have become conditioned to think the idea of oneness is weak. It is only now that we are trying to find our way back to the oneness, back to the concept of living in harmony with each other and in harmony with the planet and all sentient beings. Living without a personal agenda, without competition, without hatred or war or hunger, which are all third dimension societal ills. We are working for the collective. So in the meantime, we still have the gender. Historically, our society has been a patriarchal society, and so many ascended masters incarnated as men in order to further humanity's enlightenment. Now, this is not in order to maintain the patriarchal, unbalanced nature of our societies, but more an identification of the times and a vehicle with which to have the most impact, recognizing the societal structure of the planets at that time. When we think back to how the rights of women and girls were viewed throughout history, we can understand how the decision to incarnate in a male embodiment would have been made. This is, however, not to say that there were no female ascended masters serving in the order of Melchizedek. There are many recorded sacred feminine energies throughout the ages. In our current enlightening society, we are making contact with more and more sacred feminine ascended masters. Kaya Ra, in her work, The Sophia Code, in the second edition, which was published in 2016, channels the words and sentiments of Isis, known as She of 1,000 Names, Hathor, She of 1,000 Voices, Green Tara, She of 1,000 Stars, the beautiful Mother Mary, She of 1,000 Roses, Mary Magdalene, She of 1,000 Angels, Kuan Yin, She of 1,000 Waters, and White Buffalo Woman, She of 1,000 white clouds and thunder beings. Other sacred feminine ascended masters that have walked this earth more recently have been Joan of Arc and Mother Teresa. Joan of Arc was given the task of bringing about social change through challenging the authority of the church and royal house in France in the 15th century. She was divinely inspired and guided by God, and as the earth was in a time of great spiritual darkness, sadly, she was burned at the stake for heresy. Mother Teresa incarnated to remind society through action of our obligation to ease the suffering of the sick and the poor and to live a life of love and forgiveness, just as Buddha, Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad did. We can see through society's treatment and reverence of Mother Teresa's teachings and activism that we are enlightening. In The Light Shall Set You Free, originally published in 1996, Doctors Norma Milanovic and Shirley McCune, who channeled the words of Kutumi and Al Moria over a number of years, their work culminated in a very important book, which also lists as sacred feminine beings of light who ensoul the cosmic consciousness of truth, Pallas Athena and Nada, the third, or the pink ray of divine love. You see, ascended masters embodying into male energies were Melchizedek, an ancient illumined being that walked this planet many thousand years ago. Hermes Trismegistus, an ancient intellectual and highly advanced spiritual being who embodied the Christ consciousness on the planet and taught the universal law of as above, so below. There was Abraham, who was the patriarch of Abrahamic religions and is considered to be the father of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. They also list Apollo, Brahma, Confucius, David, Leonardo da Vinci, St. Francis of Assisi, St. George, St. Germain, Hilarion, Jesus, Joseph, Krishna, Michelangelo, Moses, Kumara, Shiva, Solomon, and Vishnu as ascended masters. Now, these names are quite well known to us, and quite surprisingly, the most recently conferred ascendant master admitted to the realms of celestials is Walt Disney. Walt Disney was tasked with integrating the existence of the elementals and animal kingdoms into the human consciousness. He incarnated on this planet with an understanding that it was time to bring an awareness of the elemental and animal kingdom into the forefront of the human consciousness. If you have not yet read these books, I seriously suggest you do this. They are very, very interesting and a great source of learning. So your next question, how do we work with the Ascended Masters? In order for individuals to evolve spiritually and transition through the fourth dimension and into the fifth dimension and beyond, we must work towards living an intentionality of integrating our mental, emotional, and physical bodies with our spiritual bodies. This process of integration is very sensitive, and so the Ascended Masters work very slowly with each of us ascending, so none of us gets left behind. Each of us walks daily with an army of light beings surrounding us, doing their best to assist in every way possible. Their goals, of course, are made more difficult by their perfect rule of not interfering in our free will. It is when we humans surrender to the light and make the decision to apply less control on the flow of energy that our paths usually begin to become easier to walk. And so, to recap, Ascended Masters are highly evolved light beings with the capacity to incarnate into human form. They work closely with us on a second-to-second basis to help us achieve our spiritual goals. So how do we interact with the Ascended Masters? Well, this is both easy and a bit of a challenge, depending on where you are personally on the vibration frequency scale. If you are a human enjoying the full experience of this earthly embodiment, and you lean into the excesses of earth life, then you will have a relatively dense vibration frequency. There is nothing wrong with this. The purpose of incarnating on Earth, the planet with the densest energy vibration frequency, and the last karmic planet in the galaxy, is to learn and grow spiritually. How are you supposed to learn if you don't experience? So you might just be finding that gaining traction in any of your spiritual endeavors will be very difficult. That's all. The longer you remain in the vibration frequency that keeps you tethered to the earthly delights or in the dense vibration frequency of illusion, dressed up to look like reality, then the longer it will take you to elevate your personal vibration frequency and begin your ascension journey. In order to engage with an Ascended Master, a very high vibration frequency is required. This is because Ascended Masters exist in the light, and they are beings of pure love. So in order to sit at their table, so to speak, you need to become love yourself. Becoming love means to be in service to humanity and the earth. It means to give more love in the present than you have personally received, or more love in the physical than you have received. It means to help and assist without any contract, without any agenda, without any means of expected compensation, or simply asking for anything in return. It is to give with open hands. However, there's always an however. Should your assistance be repaid in whatever fashion, it means to receive that compensation or energy exchange with grace and gratitude. To become love means to move beyond the ego of offense and indignation and see the truth in the situation and to forgive without reservation. Now, this is a really tough ask, and I have struggled with this concept for a very long time. Because I realized that in holding on to that slight or that experience, it gave me comfort. So you see, the third dimension is the victimhood dimension. It is this dimension where we wear our current and our ancestors' traumas like badges on our chests for everyone to see, and of course to remind us that we are victims. Believe it or not, humans take great comfort in being a victim. When we are victims, we cannot be responsible for our lives playing out. We can blame the government, we can blame our parents, we can blame society. And these badges are actually holes or tears in our auric bodies that leak energy and allows negative energy to flow in and out as it pleases. As we wear our victimhood like clothing to identify ourselves with, our environment and society reflects that back to us. So it says, yes, you are a victim and you will remain a victim. So releasing the victimhood thinking is about responsibility and forgiveness. You cannot become love without becoming forgiveness. Let's just ponder on that for a bit. This is what the Ascended Masters came to teach us. They came to help us navigate our reality in order to reconcile with our world and move beyond what we perceive to be our reality. The Ascended Masters came to us to help. So back to becoming love and becoming forgiveness. And how do we do this? Well, the very first step is intention. In setting the firm intention that you will raise your vibration frequency. Everything begins with intention. Just as much as thinking to yourself, I have an intention to educate myself. I have an intention to lose weight. I have an intention to learn to speak another language. Because that intention already increases your vibration frequency towards achieving or attaining that intention or goal. You're bringing it into your reality. Have you ever heard that saying, the first rule of success is show up? Well, setting an intention and following through on that intention is showing up for yourself every day until the job is done. The next step is acknowledging what in your life needs to be placed into your past and be forgiven in order to dissolve those etheric cords attached to that emotion, that situation, belief, or experience. Forgiveness cannot be given on false information or on a lie. And this means you need to be totally honest with yourself about a situation. In order to be totally honest with yourself, you need to engage your heart, and all knowledge and truth exists within your heart. Your heart will always tell you the truth about the emotion, the belief, or the experience in order to shine the light on it. The light illuminates all the dark spaces and brings truth and clarity to the situation. Witnessing the changes that begin to occur is step 3. Witnessing and not controlling. When we witness, we see the change in its truthful form and how that change will bring short-term discomfort, but an eternity of peace. So how do we communicate with the Ascended Masters? Well, working with the Ascended Masters takes time, patience, and great dedication. They communicate through whispers, dreams, and intuitive moments. Taking time to become more aware to their communication style with you is imperative. As they exist in the seventh dimension and higher, their primary purpose is delivering the human race through the current ascension and safely into the fifth dimension and beyond. And so they are very keen to make contact with us. Once they have achieved this mammoth task, they will begin to prepare the collective for the sixth dimension, and then the seventh dimension, and so on, until the earth and humanity can fully realize its next incarnation as a heavenly star. Isn't that an incredible thought? Us bumbling fools down here have a team of highly evolved spiritual beings of light working with us day and night to help us get out of our own way and find the path to the light. How brilliant is that? So, are there any other questions you could ask, such as, can I link with the Ascended Masters telepathically? Yes, you can. I have been working with Mother Mary for a long time now. Her energy vibration is truly beautiful, and the healing energy she channels works absolute wonders. Mother Mary works with me on many of my meditations I post, so you too are engaging with her every time you engage in one of the meditations on my channel. Can I call on them for help? Absolutely. Are they walking the planet now? Without a single doubt in my mind. Well, that's it for today's conversation. I truly hope your appetite for learning more about the Ascended Masters will grow and grow as you build on your Lightworker work and development, and engage directly with the Ascended Masters and learn more about your own ascension in the process. That's all for today. Love you.